నేను ట్రాక్ చేస్తున్నాను మెల్లగా.
need some help?
Institutions like us generally don't have traditions, but lighting the lamp of knowledge has become one such tradition over the last 10 years. We are indeed privileged today to have with us Dr. Shobha Bhattacharya, a prominent physicist. His academic work has taken him, among other universities, to MIT, the University of Chicago, to heading the NEC Research Institute at Princeton. In 2002, he was appointed the director of India's premier scientific research institution, TIFR, the Tata Institute for Fundamental Research. In the field of education, he's also currently now involved in a team that's revitalizing Presidency College, Calcutta, and making it an autonomous university. When I was in school, we learned that all matter consisted of, it was either solid, liquid, or gas. Professor Bhattacharya's specialty is in a state which is not solid, liquid, or gas, or all three simultaneously. It's called condensed matter physics, which is a field which has led to the development of semiconductors, liquid crystals, oil, and it's about oil that I need to say one more thing. He's probably one of the very few people in the world who has been involved in the Technological Advisory Board that supervised the cleanup of not only the Exxon Valdez oil spill, but also the more recent BP oil spill in the Gulf of Mexico. So, Dr. Shobha Bhattacharya.
Thank you, Cyrus, Kalam, Usha, the teachers of the college, the parents who have come from far, distinguished guests, students, my good friend and comrade in arms, Rajaram Nityananda, and the last but not the least, the class of 2012. I was very, very happy that you have chosen to ask me to be here today to speak to you, but I just learned that everything I say and every misstep I make will be recorded on video for posterity, so I am suitably sober. Now, when you are an older person, it is difficult to explain to young people that you were young once. And when I was young, and I will come back to that when that was, that gray-haired people like I am today used to come on dioceses like this, under the misconception that the gray outside is a measure of the gray inside. And that I now know not to be the case, but I have no choice. I'll do my best. Now, the class of 2012, to you, I have to say that this nurturing nest, this institution, has given you a shelter for a few years. It has given you a broad and holistic education that are not commonplace in our country, or for that matter, any country. The aim is to learn in an environment of openness, tolerance, diversity, and most of all, full engagement with your surroundings, which will make a difference to everything that you engage with. This is a lofty idea with which I resonate personally, and therefore it's a special occasion for me to be able to speak to you on this very important day in your life. Now today, you will be taken out of this place, and as the saying goes, I'm sure the place will not be taken out of you. To paraphrase a very well-known saying, today is not the end, not even the beginning of the end, it is merely the end of the beginning. It is obvious that you have made an auspicious beginning. The challenge in front of you will be to sustain it in the years ahead, so that you fulfill the promises of these early years and contribute to the noble vision of this institution. You fulfill your own personal vision of who you are and what you wish to achieve. I would expect that all of you will continue your education in the years ahead with the same engagement, dedication, and commitment that have defined you here, and that you will grow, you will change, and you will reach fulfillment. And in turn, your environment will grow, change, and reach fulfillment because it is touched by you. Your generation knows, I'm sure of it, far more than mine did, at the same stages of our lives, what lies ahead. There is an old curse which says, may you live in interesting times. You have no choice in this matter, but if you look around, you will realize that these are extremely interesting times and extremely confusing times for the same reason. Navigating this labyrinth to find out what the cul-de-sacs and what are the open roads is not going to be easy. But I should add, again, quoting the same person in a different context, never before, never in living memory have we seen a world with more contradiction than we see today. Yours is a special time. Never before has so much opportunity denied to so many are given to so few. Since you are among those few, the very few, what should be your charge for the years to come, especially towards all those who are denied? Today, a vast amount of information and yes, knowledge is available to some at the press of a key on a keyboard. A quadruple bypass surgery is now routine for people with fully clogged arteries. And within a few weeks, they're better than they have been in a very long time. And at the same time, and I repeat, at the very same time, the probability of a woman dying at childbirth in some parts of the world is greater, not by 10%, not by 20%, by a factor of 200 than some other parts of the world. This level of inequity had existed before. It had motivated young people like you who have gone before you to take on the challenges with passion, compassion, integrity, and honesty. But as you look around, you realize that the tragedy lingers. The playing field remains unacceptably uneven. The dreams and aspirations of many go further out of reach every single passing day. Yet, at the same time, enormous progress is being made in our ability to produce food, battle diseases, to create knowledge, and innovations of breathtaking sophistication and reach. Today, you see young people on the street who demand freedom, facing guns, while corporate citizens in many parts of the world set deplorable examples of citizenship. And this is your work. Now, if you accept the premise that you are special, each of you in your own unique way, you have something special to do, then the question remains, how do you contribute that will make a difference to the world that you live in, and also, and this is very critical, will make a difference to you. If history is your guide, although an important lesson of history is that nobody learns from it, then you will see that most effort to do good fails, not because of a lack of goodwill or honesty of purpose. It fails because of a lack of knowledge and honest understanding of how to make things work as a matter of practical proficiency and ability. There is a saying attributed to somebody I will not name, who said, revolutions fail not because we do not know who our enemies are, it is because we do not know who our friends are. And there is a great deal of truth in that statement. Grandiose ideas end up working for nothing because they are supposed to work for everything. The solutions that solve everything do not usually solve anything. Most problems that we face at the core are not facelessly global or grand or general. They are local, they are modest, and they are specific. It takes courage of conviction beyond what is fashionable even in doing public good, beyond all the sweeping generalizations that assault our senses every day on talk shows on the television, in airport bookstores, and other medias, of sheer vacuousness. Your physical environment today is limited only by your imagination, and your influence on it is only limited by your commitment. And this is far more the case today than it was in Mahindra. And precisely the next few years in your life are going to be crucial as you continue to nourish your body and your mind, sharpen your arguments, acquire experience, and process them, learn from them, strengthen your sense of destiny, and above all, above everything else, pursue your dreams, your own calling. I suspect that most of you now know deep down what that is. And that would be the first vital test of your courage to withstand pressure, peer pressure, parental pressure, community's pressure, and pursue what you are best at. Because if you are good at something, you will be extraordinarily good. And the difference between that and doing something that you are not very good at is enormously large. Therefore, you will be best prepared to make your mark and do lasting and sustainable good if in the coming years you are judicious in your choice. And there are three choices that are no-brainer. They are education, education, and education. If you work very hard to learn, because let's face it, nobody will make it their business to ensure that you learn to learn like your teachers do now and will do so in the coming years. It is unfortunately true that those who have knowledge have little compassion, and those who have compassion have little knowledge. Teachers in our society are the perfect embodiment of a holy union of knowledge and compassion. Without knowledge, they have nothing to teach. Without compassion, they don't know how to teach. I would be extremely happy if some of you choose to become teachers, because there are fewer ways to make a difference in the world around you. Now, I told you that my generation came long before. So my generation, at least in these quarters, are often called midnight strip. And I have to say that at this stage, they have left very little mark on the world compared to the generation before, and I hope the generations after. And I hope we will learn from what we did wrong. And that is, we greatly underestimated the importance of knowledge while we had the passion and compassion. And finally, when we had acquired useful knowledge, we had not managed to hang on to the passion and compassion of our younger days. So on this important day, when you make one important transition, I hope you will break the hold of many dichotomies that have paralyzed those of us who have gone before, between thought and action, between knowledge and compassion, between I and the other. Now, I'll give you an example, just to make a point. What was our times like? I calculated the year when I was exactly in the stage. That year was 1968, 44 years ago. Early in that year, Prague Spring began in Czechoslovakia in January. And this is the forerunner of the Arab Spring that you witness today. In fact, if I'm not mistaken, the specific context of the word spring describes such phenomena springs from that event. It met with similarly overpowering and ruthless oppression. Later in the same month was an event known as the Tet Offensive by the Vietnamese army that, while defeated in the short run, broke the will of the Western armies in Vietnam and the nations who supported them. By May, the Paris student uprising had begun, bringing a modern industrial state France to its knees for nearly 2 months. In April, Martin Luther King Jr. died from assassin's bullets. And in 2 months from that, in June, so did Robert Kennedy. In my own corner of the globe, in a small village called Naxalbari, at the foothills of the Himalayas, peasants demanded ownership of the land they plowed, ushering in a rebellion that now occupies nearly a third of the country, and is growing. My own college became one of the front lines in this battle, and these were the important news of the day. Today, it remains entirely unclear if all of that headline-grabbing news that gave many of us the euphoric feeling of mission accomplished had resulted in any lasting good. Most likely, it bred conflict, alienation, and deep distrust, whose price we continue to pay. That same year, a Cuban film director named Tomas Gutierrez Alia made a film entitled Memories of Underdevelopment. It became a cult film for my generation. And if you want to understand your parents' generation, that's mine, you might wish to see it. It is a lasting commentary on the human condition of that time and of that generation. It was not only an underdeveloped country or an underdeveloped economy, it was also about underdeveloped individuals, marked by their inability to commit. Now, I want to tell you something that did make a difference. That same year, in 1968, 10 million people worldwide contracted smallpox, and 2 million perished, mostly children, the weak, and the elderly. This devastation was routine, happened every year, entirely unexpected, and simply filled a small column somewhere in the newspaper or sometimes left out entirely. About a dozen years later, in 1979, World Health Organization declared that smallpox is eradicated from the face of the planet. So a disease that was first reported in Egypt 10,000 years ago and that killed more people than all the wars combined will no longer kill anyone. This is accomplishable. And this didn't come because of goodwill. It came because people knew what to do and how to do it. So, I'm reading a book these days, and I like it very much, and I want to end by telling you about this book. It's called Poor Economics, written by somebody I know, Abhijit Banerjee, and his colleague Esther Duflo, both highly acclaimed economists at MIT. A fascinating book written by two people who have brought the highest form of analytical tools to bear honestly on the question of poverty, without preconditions, fashions, political correctness, or affiliations, and all the rest of it. It remains to be seen, but while reading it, an old physicist like I am get the feeling that truth at last lurks in this book, and those who make policies should at long last listen. They have combined their passion for real and profound knowledge and compassion for real people, not an ideal customer that economists love to talk about. I suspect they will make a difference. And that is the best goal for the graduating class of 2012 that I can think of, that you too will make a difference. I do not wish you a smooth and boring sailing in the years to come. Instead, I leave you with that ambiguous parting wish that may you have a fulfilling and interesting life in these interesting times. And I end with a few lines that I like very much. This Ernest Hemingway wrote on a book on bullfighting. Hemingway writes about the job of an author. And he says, the great thing is to last and get your work done and see and hear and learn and understand and write when there is something that you know and not before and not too damn much after. Let those who want to save the world, if you can get to see it clear and as a whole, then any part you make will represent the whole if it is made true. The thing to do is work and learn to make it. So I say the same thing to you. The thing to do is work and learn to make it. Best of luck to you, and thank you for listening.
I'd like to thank Professor Bhattacharya for those words and particularly thank him for being able to change his speech at short notice, because he had intended to say something else about the amount of grey on the top, reflecting the amount of grey inside. When he met me, he thought he better say something slightly different. So thank you indeed for your very inspiring words. I'd like to warmly welcome Sheetal Mehta, who is representing the UWC Mahindra Educational Trust. And I hope Mr. Ulhas Yagap has now joined us after some delays on the road. And particularly I'd like to thank the parents who've come and made the journey up the hill, and especially to welcome those who are afar, who are watching us by video link, who weren't able here to join us. The experience of being a UWC parent is one which Ulrika, my wife, and I have had in full measure. Your children who have lived an intense experience with you for 15 or 16 years suddenly disappear off the face of the earth. The same earth which they declare they're about to go and save. In the first few weeks, the phone rings a few times and then falls silent. Eventually they arrive home. They sleep solidly for the first 48 hours. They eat for the next 48 hours. And then they spend the next 48 hours planning to go and visit their friends, which they proceed then to do. And that's the last we see of them. We give our students this freedom so they will learn. And they become the wonderful, respectful, compassionate, confident, idealistic, demanding, articulate, knowledgeable, and lovely people they are. On behalf of all of the faculty to our parents, we are very grateful that you trust them to follow their ideals and send them here. And now to the students. I have 3 statements for you. You have learned, but you have not learned. Now is a time of revolutionary change, and you are needed. So what does it mean to be learned, or learned? Having or showing profound knowledge, being highly educated, having extensive information or understanding, being lettered, educated, well-read, knowing, possessing an education. Do you consider yourselves learned or learned? And if you don't, then who do you consider to be learned? Do you point to your parents' generation? Do you point to those up on the stage with lots of grey hair and those without? In 1972, Eric Hoffer wrote Reflections on the Human Condition. And this is for you. He wrote, "In times of change, it is the learners who inherit the future. The learned usually find themselves beautifully equipped to live in a world which no longer exists." So the second point, now is a time of revolutionary change. Revolution, a noun, an overthrow or repudiation through replacement of an existing or established government or political system. A radical or pervasive change in society, or a sudden, complete or marked change in something, anything. So, not to be accused of plagiarism, I'd like to acknowledge the words and ideas of Herbert Meyer, who served in the US Reagan administration. Ideas made before the events known as the Arab Spring. Each political revolution is unique, but in all revolutions, the decisive moment comes when the crowd surges forward and the dictator turns to his military leaders and gives the order to shoot. If the order is obeyed and the army shoots into the crowd, there is a good chance the revolution will fail and the dictator will survive, at least for a while. But if the order to shoot isn't obeyed, it's over. With each passing year, it becomes less and less likely that the order to shoot will be obeyed, which means it's becoming more and more likely that revolutions against dictatorships will succeed. The generals are growing ever more reluctant to shoot into the crowds. Television cameras or the International Court of Justice are 2 possible reasons. But the overriding reason, according to Meyer, with the generals, why the generals are reluctant to shoot, is that they don't want to shoot their children. Today's dictatorships aren't what they used to be, he says. In the old days, a dictator held power by creating an elite, and then keeping this elite hermetically sealed off from the population at large. If you were lucky enough to be a member of that elite, life was good. You lived in a restricted government neighborhood or housing complex. Your health care was provided at private hospitals, staffed by highly trained physicians, and equipped with the world's most advanced medical technologies. And your children were enrolled in private schools and sealed off from the rest of society. According to Meyer, what's happening now is that hermetic seal around the elite is starting to crumble. Citizens around the world have a better idea than ever before about what's going on. And while the grown-ups grow more and more angry with their own governments, it's the kids, it's your generation, who are tuning in to the emerging global culture. More and more young people know which television series are hits in the US, which rock bands top the charts in London and Tokyo, which style jeans are in this year, and so on. And like young people everywhere, their overwhelming desire is simply to be part of it all. Divisions in the world are no longer the ones which led to the foundation of the first United World College 50 years ago. Our world is changing. This is a resounding fact yesterday that Dipali is to go to the UWC of Southern Africa in Swaziland. Saraswati and Amit together will go to the UWC of the Pacific on Vancouver Island in Canada. And as Sheeta will go to the United World College of the American West in the United States of America. I'm going to invite Sheeta. Would you join me on the stage to give them their certificates of graduation? We're so proud of you all, of what you've achieved and what we know that you will achieve in your lives to come. So, Amit. They deserve that round of applause. Well done, all of you. 4 other members of our community are leaving us today. This evening, I'll formally acknowledge the contribution they have made to the college, but to Ben, Gauri, Penny, and Sindhu, who are leaving faculty members, thank you for all you've done. Thank and acknowledge Ben for his drumming and Sindhu for her dancing at the beginning. Sindhu, I have to say to all of you, Sindhu has done 14 years of the 15 years this college has existed, so thank you so much. Maybe we can or maybe we can't have a graduation ceremony that does not quote Kurt Hahn, but this time we're going to. And I think one of the most classic quotes that he's given, which we can have various thoughts about, but I want to mention now, is that there are 3 ways of trying to get students to take action, or to catch the young, as he said. There is persuasion, there is compulsion, and there is attraction. You can preach at them. That is a hook without a worm, he said. You can say you must volunteer. And he said, that is of the devil. And finally he said, and you can tell them you are needed. And he said that hardly ever fails. To the graduating class of 2012, you are needed. An influential individual delayed me earlier this week when I was in New York, when he was on his way to speak at a graduation ceremony. I paraphrase his closing words. If you're willing to do your part now, if you're willing to reach up and close that gap between what humanity is and what humanity should be, we want you to know that we will be right there with you. If you're ready to fight for that brilliant, radically simple idea that no matter who you are or what you look like, no matter where you come from or how much your parents earn, no matter who you love or what God you worship, you can still make the world a better place to be. Now more than ever, our world needs you. Reach high, hope deeply, and if you persevere in your ideals and in what you decide to do with your life, the world will become a better place for everyone. Sustainably united in peace and with social justice. It is now that the UWC mission really starts, because now, as graduates, you can tear up the common code of conduct. We missed this one last night, but you can stagger in at the Stagger Inn. And without fear of having a conversation with Pelham, you can reclaim your peace pipes. Or go swimming wearing whatever you want not to be wearing. But whatever you do, make the world a better place. One of your parents gave me a book with a simple message. If you think you can, you can. If you think you can't, you can't. So please do not forget the idealism you had at your interview to come here. You can make a huge difference, and you are now graduating equipped for a meaningful life. Don't forget it. I'd like now to invite you, Fan, to play, and to thank all of you, and wish you good luck.
The main task at the graduation is to hand out the graduation certificates. We do this in alphabetic order according to first names. Abhijit? Anvita. Apurva. Avnish. Ari. Taki. Ellen. Benla. Chinwade. Constantine. Courtney. Frank. Diane. Rita. Dikshan. Vivi. Emily. Eric.
Scusi.
Shabab. Fernanda. Gautam. William. Ian. Market. Maria Victoria. Mark. Martha. Martin. Matthew. Marty. Matthew. Max. Nina. Eric. Mecca. Roman. Monsu. Nazia. Jamaica. Is it Lucy as well? This year, the graduating class have chosen Matthew and Maria Victoria to be the speakers. Did you know these people 2 years ago? No. Thought so. A lot has changed since then, hasn't it? The person sitting next to you today is not a skier person from Venezuela or any longer, or some obscure parts of the world. Surprising, isn't it? Who would have thought that you would get to know someone so foreign and odd at the time so well in the end? In fact, they've become familiar to you, and even as far to be the closest friends or lovely companions. They are the people who have enjoyed and occasionally loathed your company. They are the people who shared their late night noodles with you in dubious looking pots which look like the ones you previously owned. People who have ultimately understood and shared the good and bad times with you. These people who were initially friends and acquaintances have now become your new family. And that, I'm not just talking about peers here, but would rather like to include the caring and loving faculty, staff, and college community as part of our new extended family. It's impossible to sum up or even put into words the total experience which all of us have felt here in Miyuki, but throughout the 2 years here, the combination of enthusiastic and genuine people, exciting exposure to new situations, and the resulting changes which have subtly but profoundly shaped us are certainly the elements of the magical Miyuki experience. We were all once distinct individuals, different and distant, but today, we gather here today, looking posh and pretty, connected with solidarity. Kind of reminds me of that dot drawing I used to do when I was a kid. Like dots distinctly dotting each geographical location which we are from, we have started the process of connecting ourselves with different ideas, different people, different cultures, and the wider world around us.
Truly international was our tutor presented Miyuki in the promotional video. Truly international is perhaps the best way to describe how eating Mauritian tuna with Norwegian bread has become a common pleasure, and how we've celebrated in one same year Diwali, Christmas, and Santa Lucia. Truly international means many things, but still likes to portray that essential element behind our experience in a place like this. Trying to describe that intangible, unique element of Miyuki would be as difficult as trying to leave the Med before a meal. However, we know that just as we learn to ignore our roommate's alarm, or how we catch ourselves using our housemate's flip-flops, we now leave this place with a little bit of everyone else. Among this list of new qualities, perspectives, and habits, there's a common element of care. The same person who cared enough to read 2 extra chapters for the history class is the one that cares enough to bake a cake and stay awake to wish someone happy birthday. Yes, care is another abstract term that fails to match the qualities of any of our friends. But it's through care that developed interest and curiosity for new things. From what it seems, this developed curiosity for new challenges is not something that we'll easily get rid of. We often hear that although we leave Miyuki, Miyuki never leaves us. And as abstract as it seems now, I would dare to say that it's because of how we've lived and cared for our friends, teachers, and the entire community that we've consciously or subconsciously became part of it as well.
Coming to Newquay is not only a novel experience in itself, but a series of adventure which exposes us to the unknown. New cultures, languages, ways of living, and above all, new ways of thinking. From the novel adventure of throwing colors at each other during Holi, to the novelty of being immersed into the pluralism of ideas which we encounter in our daily interactions here, the wide-ranging exposure which we experience here is like no other. We all have different backgrounds and have come with a set of spectacles, tainted by who we work for. Through being exposed to different and sometimes radical sides, we've started to look at the world in a different manner and have changed who we are. In discussing contentious issues relating to our life and the wider world around us, such as ethics, religion, sexuality, war, we inevitably have had our differences. There may be cases where issues seem clear-cut, so straightforward, eliciting one right view. But my baffling surprise, different perspectives constantly challenge mine. We come to realize that there is no absolute right view. It makes you understand the pluralism which exists in the world. Thus, it is understandable, then, that the United Nations General Assembly seems to take years to pass seemingly clear-cut resolutions, seeing we take as much time hashing things out in our own college meeting in our own backyard. Being part of the UWC movement, we have to strive to include others and avoid being the exclusive elite. What we can take from this refreshing introspection is the need for openness and to listen to others as much as we seek to be heard. Through these eye-opening exposures, changes in varying degrees have taken place within us. The change has not only affected us academically, but has developed our personal growth as well. Some people didn't speak a word of English initially, but they're now so proficient, they got this speech done easily. Some of us lacked the Latin flavor in our first few Spanish classes, but can now speak the special language of Spain as well. Today I can say confidently that all of us are bolder, more open and understanding in our timid and parochial selves years ago. The other thing worth mentioning is the humanistic values we have cultivated here. The fact that we endured and survived 2 grueling years here through the help and support of friends and caring community, and at the same time helping others as well, such as in our collective effort in the Japanese and Somalia charity drive, do portray the caring and compassionate traits which make us fully human. One change we definitely don't want is to change the Sodexo staff with our parents in doing the dishes when we go home. Most of us leave here with some sort of change. It may be good or bad. But one thing's for sure, the change which we take from here is a life-changing one. Change which will enrich and inspire your life and many others as well.
Most of the time here, things never made sense. Whether it was at the beginning, when we couldn't tell if we were entering Water 3 or leaving Water 2, or because even if we knew where we were, there were so many things happening at the same time. Now, if we look back, we did spend a significant amount of time trying to figure things out. The curious yet great thing is that throughout this process, we enjoyed ourselves and somehow found a comforting element inside the confusion. Most of us now have at least an idea of where we'll be next year. But at the same time, the more we think to know, the more we realize that we have no idea what that means. After getting used to the lifestyle here, it's only natural to ask ourselves if what follows is the right decision. Are we going to the right place? And are we doing the right things? I don't know. And I highly doubt anyone who says they do. But today, it seems that the best thing to wish us all is that we make a lot of mistakes. I wish, of course, that we ultimately find a new comfort in a new place. But I wish that we have to struggle for us to appreciate it truly. Today, all those times in which we were confused somehow make sense. And all of the things we did, including the mistakes, actually especially the mistakes, are things that made it possible for us to be sitting here today. It's a shame that things make sense only at the end, but it's true. and even if it's next week or in the 10-year reunion, there will be a point in which all of those things that we did, including the wrong ones, will be remembered with grace and with gratitude. Matthew and I have known about this speech for the last 2 weeks, and we still finished preparing it less than an hour ago. Every time we set a date to meet, we would postpone it, and now we realize that it was because we didn't want to face the fact that Miki was coming to an end. And although an hour ago, we still thought that it would be extremely impossible for us to finish these words, we realized how that extremeness has been with us throughout all of the times here in Miki. Here we've lived the happiest and the saddest, and even the scariest moments, but all of those will form the sequence of events that will keep leading us to new challenges, new people, or new chickens in our courtyards. We've been told how lucky we are, and yet it's impossible to understand. However, although it's now at the end, when we start understanding things, it only shows how special it is not to know. There's no point in trying to look too far ahead if that means that we're not going to appreciate what we have and do today. The series of events that made our experience here the one that we're taking home now wasn't planned by any of us, and hence, it can't be understood by any of us. However, all of us enjoyed it, and that just shows how good it is to be clueless sometimes, but how we should never forget to be grateful. And as Matthew said, the only thing left for us to do now is to connect the dots as we go on. And they'll make sense at the end, but for now we just have to keep placing them.
So, Miki Class 2012, start connecting the dots. Thank you. Love you. Victoria, thank you, Matthew. There were light refreshments served outside. Please make yourself at home. Thank you.